Today on Criticando Ando we have two animated films. One is the Mexican production Únete and Haggen, and the other is the Peruvian-Spanish film Kayara. For those unfamiliar with my reviews, we don't just analyze these films based on their entertainment value. Instead, we first assess whether they relate to historical aspects, and secondly, how accurate or inaccurate those historical contributions are for the audience. In other words, the argument that because they are for kids, they can be criticized doesn't fly here. Let's start with Kayara, which is the set during the Inca era, specifically at the time of the Spanish arrival. As for Únete and Haggen, its own marketing says it takes place in a fantasy world with pre-Hispanic features. As content for young children, I think both films do their job. Their storytelling is average, nothing spectacular, with simple and predictable plots. In both, we see the classic struggle for power, typical villains who wanted to dominate their civilizations, and heroes who rise to stop them. In Kayara, the main character is an Inca girl, daughter of a chasqui, a messenger. She wants to become a messenger herself, but being a woman, that's forbidden. As a child, she meets the son of the Inca ruler, and they become friends. After the ruler dies, his son becomes the new leader. Kayara disguises herself to participate in a race to become a chasqui, but is caught and imprisoned. Meanwhile, the villain, the Inca second in command, poisons the new ruler. Kayara sets out on a journey to recover some secret seeds that save his life. In the final part of the film, the Spaniards appear, allied with the villain Inca who seeks power. Now a messenger, Kayara hears about unrest in the province due to excessive tributes from the capital. She travels to the coast, discovers the Spaniards, and is captured along with her father. They both escape and warn the ruler, leading to the classic final battle. They defeat the Spaniards and seal off the main entrance to the city, leaving the door open for a sequel. Now let's talk about Únete and Haggen. Here we have another girl, the princess of her city. After her father's death, she is supposed to inherit the throne. But because of constant earthquakes and extreme pollution, the high priest declares she must be sacrificed. While grappling with whether or not she'll be sacrificed, she meets the other protagonists on the beach, a Viking boy named Haggen. He arrived with his father and other warriors searching for resources, as their homeland is starving. Both all die in a shipwreck, except him. After the usual clashes between protagonists, they become friends, maybe even a bit more. The priest and a character called the engineer want to kill her to take power. Únete and the Viking boy escape and reach an underground world, where they stay for a while. In the end, she returns to sacrifice herself for the god of her people. The boy is angry and refuses to go with her. But then the classic magical creature, always present in kids' films, convinces him that her sacrifice isn't necessary. Instead, he steers on her into the moon warrior goddess. So, he sets out to save her. Just like in Kayara, we get a final battle. The villains fail to sacrifice her. Haggen rescues her, and she transforms with the help of prisms and moonlight. She fights the villains' mechanical inventions, while the city's people and magical beings battle the bad guys' forces. They win. Únete becomes queen of the city. Haggen takes seeds back to his homeland. He sails away, and Únete, now grown, waits for his return from the sea, also leaving room for a sequel. You can watch Únete and Haggen on Max, and I'll leave the link to Kayara below so you can watch it before it's removed due to copyright issues. Now, what do these films contribute to the dissemination of our roots? The one most faithful to the pre-Hispanic context is Kayara. Even though it includes fantasy elements, it stays closer to the real Inca setting. Únete and Haggen honestly has very little that's pre-Hispanic. It's a completely inventing culture. The clothes, city, weapons, etc. seem like a mix of various world cultures. In fact, when I saw the first poster for Huma, I thought she was a boy. Geek girls didn't dress like that in most Asian cultures. If it weren't for her female voice, I'd have thought she was male. There are a few references to animals like Quetzalcoatl and attempts to imitate some pre-Hispanic foundations, but it's all blended with futuristic elements. There's even modern tech, like mechas, and more, with exaggerated colors and neon tones clearly meant to capture kids' attention. Apart from the warrior's makeup, nothing else is recognizable from actual pre-Hispanic heritage. And while I won't say it, I fell asleep. You can basically predict everything from the beginning. As a children's movie, it's okay. I'd rate it a 7, but as a portrayal of pre-Hispanic heritage, I'd give it a 4, or even less if I'm in a bad mood. Now let's talk about Kayara, which is made in 3D, unlike Huma and Haggen, which is in 2D. Both films feature sidekick creatures. One has a mushroom, the other a Peruvian guinea pig. But Kayara also includes more believable creatures like a cosmic llama and other details. This film is more realistic than Huma and Haggen. Though the plot isn't super original, it reminded me of Mulan, as Kayara disguises herself in a male world to become a chasqui and break stereotypes. Still, the end feels rushed or unfinished. Now, what about the pre-Hispanic elements? Here, we do see very recognizable elements from the pre-Hispanic past. The film's core theme, a girl becoming a chasqui, is solid. Chasquis were messengers who traveled the Incas' roads, and yes, as far as we know, they were all men. Makes sense, since women were more vulnerable, and they didn't travel days alone like in the film. Real chasquis used relay stations and supply posts along the way. Other mentioned pre-Hispanic concepts include the 4 cardinal points, represented by the chacana, an ancient Quechua symbol, perhaps even older. It represents the connection between the earthly and spiritual worlds in Andean worldview. It also corresponds to the Southern Cross constellation, which, like the North Star, appears fixed in the sky. The chacana work as a solar and lunar calendar, helping mark planting and harvesting cycles and dates like solstices and equinoxes. In South America, seasons are reversed due to Earth's tilt. So while it's winter solstices in Mexico, it's summer down there. The film also references Inti, the solar deity, often shown on golden objects. Kayara's pet is a Peruvian guinea pig, an animal that's was raised for sacrificial and culinary purposes. In fact, it's still eaten in some South American regions today. Classic stone structures appear, attributed to the Incas, with the legend that they're so precisely built, not even a car fits between them. Though, much of Inca architecture was inherited from early cultures, just like the Mexicas learned from previous groups. Some believe these structures were found only in key locations, not everywhere. Even older examples exist on Easter Island, suggesting ancestors may have come from the sea. And of course, quipus are featured. Woven items used for accounting or storing data, like an abacus, though no one knows exactly how they were used. They were mostly destroyed by Spaniards, but some believe they might have covered stories of messages, hence their frequent use in the film. Now, let's talk about creative liberties. Just like in Mexico, where the pre-Hispanic past is often idealized, Kayara does the same. Everything looks nearly perfect, aside from the billion priest. But the truth is, even among the Incas, internal conflicts existed. The fictional Grey Inca friend of the protagonist, he didn't exist. At the time of the Spanish arrival, the real Grey Inca was Atahualpa, who was captured and executed by Pizarro, Cortés' cousin. Where both convinced enemy tries to help defeat the ruling empires, Mexicas and Incas. So no, the utopian world shown in the movie isn't accurate. Also, they incorrectly named the Inca capital as Paititi, a mythical city of gold. But the real capital was Cusco. Despite these creativity, liberties, and some historical inaccuracy, Kayara offers more substance for analysis than Huma and Haggen. My rating for Kayara would be 8, though they could dug deeper into Inca culture. Now, it's your turn. Have you watched these two films? What do you think? Do you believe they contribute to spreading knowledge of our roots across the continent we now call America?